Morning everyone, welcome to our 11th day of the trip so far. This was our view from our camp at Gladstone Jetty. Pretty nice, have enjoyed it quite a lot. The ground here is nice and soft, it's been easy to drive the pegs into, and yeah, it was pretty relaxing. We had the awesome stars last night, and Milky Way's rising, and beautiful sunrise this morning, so we were refreshed, relaxed and ready to kick on. So the plan for today is to get out to Steep Point, which is the westernmost point of WA, and we're camping at Shelter Bay, which is the campsite there, and we're going to check out False Entrance on the way in. There's some huge blowholes at False Entrance, so I'm hoping that the wind was blowing the right way yesterday and today we'll get a bit of a swell and hopefully see those blowholes in action. You know, can't promise anything, it's wild, we'll see how we go. We're just going to do some brekkie now though and pack the tent up and back out of here.
Our camp at Gladstone Jetty was beautiful, but in typical Shark Bay fashion, the wind just didn't stop blowing. And we were fairly exposed up on the top of the hill, so I sure was glad to be able to hop in the car and hit the road again. It was only a short 7 kilometres from the campground back to the Northwest Coastal Highway, and the road is in pretty good condition. There's a few corrugations, but you certainly wouldn't struggle to get either a camper trailer or a caravan in there for an overnight stop. Once we hit the bitumen, we continued south and then out towards Shark Bay until we hit the useless loop road towards Steep Point.
We've made good time from Gladstone Jetty. We've just crossed over the grid into Shark Bay, into the World Heritage listed area, and we've got a left turn coming up to head out to Useless Loop and Steep Point. So yeah, mate, just let them know. Hey mate, left turn coming up for Steep Point.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
After the left turn, we'll have to let the tyres down a little bit, because there's still the highway pressures and the road's pretty corrugated.
We were pretty fortunate to find that some roadworks were being completed on the useless loop road at the time of our trip. So they've already extended the bitumen a couple kilometres from the intersection with the Shark Bay Road, and they're in the process of doing the next 5 to 10 kilometres. Sadly though, it still left us about 140 kilometres of gravel and tracks, some of which were pretty brutal on the equipment.
Well, we've finally hit the corrugations. The first, I don't know, probably 6-7 k's of the useless loop road to tarmac, and they're right in the process now of extending that tarmac and bitumen. So it took a while for us to hit the corrugations, but now we're on them. We're just going to drop the tyres a bit. Not going to go too low, just want to give us a bit of cushion in the tyres. So my highway pressures are about 40 to 45 depending on the weight. Probably going to go down to probably 30 front and 33 back.
Due to all the dust, Kieran fell back behind me about 2 or 3 kilometres. We still had good contact via our UHFs, but it meant he didn't have to try and use his X-ray vision to see through the dust. Fun fact for you, the Useless Loop Road exists to service the salt mine at Useless Loop. The mine produces about 1.4 million tonnes of high-grade sea salt per annum from its 37 evaporator ponds, which cover about 70 square kilometres. The salt is mainly sold to high-end food markets due to its valued purity and texture. Once you pass the mine access point, the road deteriorates into a track, and you soon hit a junction for either false entrance or steep point. We headed for false entrance first, as it's only a couple kilometre detour. Well, we made it to the end of the Useless Loop Road. Now we hit the tracks for false entrance and steep point. This is where the corrugation's really set in. So I'm dropping the tyres again. I've gone down to 20 back and 18 front. And it's also a little bit sandy on the way out to steep point. We've got a few dunes to cross, and this will help us out. On your way into false entrance, you'll come past the false entrance well. You can literally see it from the track. Now, it's definitely seen better days, but it's pretty cool to check it out. We've got the old watering trough here, obviously old water tank, and I reckon it was either a windmill or there might be a well and a pump over there. I'm just going to go and have a look around the area and check it out a bit more. But Kieran's had a look in the well and he says it's just, or the tank, sorry, he says it's just full of sand and rubbish. So, not much to see now, but back in the day, this would have been a vital water source for the livestock they used to run up here. From the false entrance well, we made our way towards the beach. Well, we've arrived now at false entrance. It's a little bit windy, so I hope you can hear us all right. We're on the beach. That's the point of false entrance out there, and we've got the cliffs behind you over there, Zydorp Cliffs. So back of the point over there's two massive blowholes. Now the ocean's a bit smoother than when I was here last, so I don't know how they're going to be going today. I hope they look good, but the only way you can tell is to go and have a look at them. So we're going to jump back on the tracks, go and see what they look like. But it's nice. We're the only people on the beach here, and I haven't seen, other than a couple cars on the Useless Loop Road, I haven't seen any other cars out here, so we might have found our peace and quiet again that we had before. Another fun fact, because I'm sure you're wondering how false entrance got its name. It got its name because early mariners mistakenly thought it was the entrance to Shark Bay between Dirk Hartog Island and Steep Point, which is actually about 30 kilometres further north. 'Cause 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 lie down and I'll hold the end of the... Can you hear it?
Yeah, you can hear them rumbling.
Disappointingly, the blowholes weren't actually doing anything today. In my previous visit, they were creating massive spouts about 10 to 15 metres into the air, which were really impressive. After leaving the blowholes, we headed towards Steep Point. Sadly, the blowholes at Thunder Bay just didn't oblige us today. I'm not sure if it's just that the wind hasn't kicked up enough of a swell, or maybe the tide's out, there's not enough water in the cabin yet. But we'll have a chat to the ranger and we'll see if we can't find a better time to come back and look at them, because it is really cool to see them in action. I think a lot of people, when they hit the T-junction, just turn straight and head for Steep Point. A lot of people forget about false entrance. When there's a big swell running, it's awesome to watch the waves coming into the bay there, the false entrance bay, and stand on the beach and stuff. It is really worth going down there and checking out. It's not far off of the main road or the main track at all. So yeah, look, if you're in the area, go and check out false entrance. We're making our way now to Steep Point. We're going to camp at Shelter Bay. We've pre-organised that with the ranger. That's what you have to do out here because it's so popular. Between us and there, we've got a big dune system. It's got a lot of vegetation on it, but the track goes very sandy and can get quite soft and cut up. So we'll see how we go. The aim is try and get through that and get to Shelter Bay for lunch. Fingers crossed, see how we go. As you can tell, the track out to Steep Point doesn't get any easier on you. It's a fairly reasonable test of your equipment, especially as you're over 250 kilometres from any mechanics or professional help. That water you can see in the background, that's part of the salt evaporators and salt mine that I mentioned earlier. Sure was a blessing to have the ocean come back into sight. It meant we were getting close to the ranger station and our campsite at Shelter Bay. Well, we've just arrived out at the Steep Point area now. We've just checked in with the ranger. We've got our site. We're camping in Shelter Bay at the Lombardo's campsite, so it's about halfway along. The predominant wind here is a southerly, and the way that Shelter Bay is positioned, it protects you really well from it. So when we booked our campsite 9 months or so ago, we asked specifically to get a Shelter Bay campsite. And that's why it pays to do your research and whatnot. All the campsites are full, so unless you have a booking out here, you can't come and camp at the moment. So it really pays to do a bit of research on the area you're going into before you just rock up, you know. So looking forward to camping out here. I've never actually camped at Steep Point before. I've just done a day trip visit. So yeah, it'll be really cool to camp and check it out.
Oh well, here we are. We have arrived at Shelter Bay. This is our campsite for the next couple nights. We've left the car sort of semi-portable because we're going to drive out to Steep Point, check out Steep Point, take the cliff track, check out Thunder Bay and whatnot. But look, we've got to all of tomorrow to do that. It's 2:30. We're just having a bit of a late lunch after the drive in and the explore. But I think we're just going to sit here this afternoon and relax. I mean, just look how beautiful that water is. Look where our campsite is in relation to it. It is just simply stunning. So let's get back in a camp. We'll have a quick look around, see how we're set up and see how we're camping for the next few nights. And then look, probably just go and relax, sit on the beach, have a few nibblies, a few sundowners, call it a day. The afternoon has been so peaceful here, relaxing in Shelter Bay. We went for a swim, had a bath, had a clean up, just sat down and just relaxed, which has been really nice, having come from the hustle and bustle at Carragini, where we were just going gorge, you know, to Exmouth, where we had a bit of a compressed time frame and we wanted to swim at, you know, Turquoise Bay and then check out Ningaloo. So it's been nice to have arrived here sort of half a day ahead of schedule and been able to sit around and do nothing, and it really has been so enjoyable. So look, tonight we're going to continue the theme. We've got some hamburgers we're going to cook on the Weber. Kieran's got some steaks, and yeah, just relax and have fun, enjoy each other's company. Still settling in here, still getting used to the view. It's a pretty cool place to camp. Like I said, I've never camped here before, so look, I'll give you my impression on it in the morning, but so far it's pretty top notch. I mean, other than actually camping on the beach, I don't know if you can actually camp any closer to the water anywhere in Western Australia. It's just awesome. Anyway, look, the sun's setting, so we better get back into camp and think about doing some dinner. Well, cooking dinner on the Weber again tonight. Had it preheating for about 10 minutes. Thrown on there a couple hamburger patties, some bacon, and I'm cooking Kieran's steak for him as well. Apparently I'm the steak cooking expert, so I'll roll with it. It's a compliment. I don't get them too often. Jess is at the back there organising some salad for our burgers, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, etc. And yeah, dinner will be ready in a few minutes. Just basic burgers tonight. Patty, bacon, cheese, lettuce, some sauce.
Thank you.
The stars at Steep Point were pretty amazing. Because we were nearly 2 weeks into our trip at this point, we had no moon to contend with, unlike at Karijini when we had a full moon.
Good morning everyone, Graham from Great Off-Road Adventures, and welcome to day 12 of our trip. So today we camped at Shelter Bay, in Steep Point, Shark Bay. Just out to the right of the screen is where Steep Point is. We're going to head there first thing this morning. And that's our camp down there, and that's Shelter Bay behind me. This was the awesome view that I was telling you all about yesterday. I'll probably put some of it in the video, but look, I brought you up onto the hill behind camp and it's just stunning. And right out there in the background, that's Dirk Hartog Island. There's a ferry that connects, a ferry as in you can put one car and one camper trailer on it at a time, very little one, connects there's a beach here at Steep Point, or beach here at Shelter Bay, out to a beach there on Dirk Hartog Island, and then you can go and explore the island. We don't have time for that this trip. That will probably be its own trip at a later date. But yeah, look, we're we're up to here just exploring the stuff on the mainland. So look, I'm just gonna sit up here for a few more minutes, just take in the view. It's just stunning. Get back down to camp. We don't have too far to travel today, so we're doing it as a bit of a lazy day. We've got some bacon and eggs and stuff to cook. Had a bit of a sleep in this morning, so it has been, we're in the relaxing phase of the holiday now. Let's go back a bit, guys. I'll tell you a bit of a story from when I first started sort of forward driving and camping many years ago. I used to take Kieran as a passenger in my car with me. Obviously the bug bit, he bought his car, and we came up with this idea, and this was still many years ago, to go to all the extreme points of Australia. We're talking most western, most eastern, most northern, most southern, so Steep Point, Cape York, Cape Byron, Wilson's Prom. We discussed Tassie, we decided we'd add it in, so we're gonna go to Southeast Cape. But we didn't want to just stop there. We said, let's spice it up a bit. Let's add in the highest point and the lowest point, being Mount Kosciuszko and Lake Eyre. And let's also add in the dead center. So we added in Lambert Center. We chose Lambert Center as the centermost point of Australia. And it's sort of, we're calling it our bucket list. So look, I've been to Lambert Center, I've been to Lake Eyre, and I've been to Cape Byron. Did all that before I started Great Off-Road Adventures. But I'll go back, I'll take you with me, I'll take the camera with me, and we're gonna film them all. So Steep Point being the closest to home, we decided to do first. We started planning this trip over 12 months ago. We said we want to go to Karijini, we want to go to Exmouth, and I said, look, I've been to Steep Point, I did it on a family trip out this way. Let's go back, let's tick the first one off the bucket list with the video camera and go from there. So this is it, this is the trip. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll happen today. Let's hope all the camera batteries are charged up and we make it a good memory. So there you go, guys. Something to look forward to over the next few years as Great Off-Road Adventures grows and develops. We will go other places. As you will have seen in my other videos, we sort of go everywhere, but there will be big trips where we try to get to our bucket list locations. And look, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. It may not always be with the cars. So for Cape Byron, because it's pretty close to civilization and there's not too much forward driving over there, that area, until you head north or inland and whatnot, we might just end up hopping on a plane and doing the tourist thing across the east coast and going up to Cape Byron that way. But look, I'm keen to bring you the remaining bucket list in the years to come. Really looking forward to it. Anyway, that's enough chitter chatter from me. Let's get back to camp and get on with our day.
After smashing down some bacon and eggs, it was time for us to hit the tracks out to Steep Point. The drive out to Steep Point passes some superb views, and obviously it goes without saying, but make sure you pack your camera. Well, we're nearly at the sign now. It should just be popping up around the bend. So nearly there, nearly gonna tick westernmost point off the bucket list. Excited, Jess?
Yeah.
Well, here we are. I hope you can hear me because it is pretty windy. We've made it out to Steep Point. So it's mainland Australia's westernmost point. Tick on the bucket list. Absolutely stoked. Obviously going to get the obligatory photo with the sign the visitor's book, and yeah, see if we can take some cool panoramas of the point. It's pretty cool to be here. I have been here before, but look, like I said this morning, got the camera with me, making videos now, so you know, feels like it's the first time all over again. Oh, 31st to the 3rd, 18.
It's literally just shit everywhere.
Yeah, it's a bit messy. I forgot to sign it last time I was here. So.
Sadly, the poor visitor's book at Steep Point was missing some pages. Some other pages were water damaged, and some people had started new pages without finishing previous pages. It was a complete shambles, actually.
We signed in, all four of us, under Great Off-Road Adventures by road on the 10th of the 4th. Cool. Add your own if you like, or add Ocean Outback if you want. Ep8 Ocean.
Where did we get to?
The Donovan page, Donovan. Next one. Yeah, the poor visitors book's seen better days. I think we might carry a replacement book with us on these trips for when we get to places like this. Keep one in the car.
After signing the visitors book, we checked out the views. It was pretty impressive to see the waves crashing up against the cliffs, and it was cool to see the guys balloon fishing off the rocks as well. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up episode 8 here. Make sure you come back for episode 9 because we get to put the cars through their paces and I finally get to tackle the cliff track. After Steep Point, we make our way towards our final destination at Francis Perron National Park, and we get to catch up with some familiar faces. Anyway, happy safe adventuring, and we will see you next time.